Hello, I'm Angi Cooney, host of my podcast, Now What, where we explore life's intricacies and dips and turns in people's lives. Today, I am thrilled, literally thrilled to be talking to Ben Madden. He is many things to many people. And if you don't know who he is, let's delve that little bit further and find out what Ben's Now What moment is. So today's episode of Now What, to many he's, well, I don't know what he is really. To me, I know him as Mr. Motivator. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the one and only Ben Madden. Welcome, Ben.
Thanks for having me.
There's lots of people have got different opinion of you, Ben. I think you're a very divisive character. What I really want to know is the Ben Madden behind the Mr. Motivator, behind 75ers, behind the Boys Club, all of that. And I want to know about your now what moments, because you hold many hats. So can I go back to the beginning to then interject, and I'm going to talk to you about what makes you you.
Okay. So the beginning, so we're sitting in Chiswick, which is in West London right now. I went to school in Chiswick. We're from, my parents raised us in a town called Brentford, which is just down the road. And I think the first thing that sort of, the path is that I probably went to the wrong high school.
Okay.
So the vast majority of the boys from my primary school went to an all-boys school in the other direction. I didn't want to go to an all-boys school. So for mixed, there weren't many options. So I went to a mixed school in Chiswick. Only 6 of us from my primary school went there, and there were 200 kids in our year. So we were a small percentage. And yeah, I think I mean, I had fun and I was fine at school and there was no bullying. I don't mean, it's nothing, not a negative experience. It just wasn't a great experience. It was just a bit, you know, a bit nothingy. And it was a bit of a shame because in my primary school, I played sports for the year above. Academically, I was pretty good. And then I went to this school and it just didn't click, and everything just sort of became a bit flat. And so I sort of flummoxed my way through GCSE, started A-levels, started to drop out of my A-levels. I started doing maths, history, economics and IT. I know I picked those for my parents because they're academic subjects. And I enjoyed maths and I enjoyed history, but I just dropped out in the end. When I did sports at college, that lasted about 6 weeks because... I
was a librarian.
Well, you know...
So you know what I'm saying?
That's right, yeah, everything changes.
Does,
so
yeah.
I left and I went to work in a bar. I did 3 years working. You remember Yates's, the pubs?
Yes, I do.
I did 3 years at a Yates's, ended up as a deputy manager at this 700 capacity pub. At 21 years old, I could be left in charge of 700 people. It's the most fun you can ever have.
Oh, absolutely.
That was great. I'll recommend it to any young person, although actually nowadays maybe pubs are not, they're not what they used to be. But I cut my teeth in hospitality, where you do a proper AFD. Anyone who works in hospitality knows what an AFD is. You work all fucking day.
Yep.
And you start at 7 in the morning, you finish at maybe 1 a.m. the next morning because it's a Friday or Saturday shift. And you just think nothing of it. You just work all day. It's just fine. That's life. You just work. Don't moan about it. You just get on with it. And I think that's a real good setup for business ownership, estate agency, where it's tough and it is long hours and you've got to be resilient. And
I think you are the epitome of, in my opinion anyway, of an entrepreneur, because you have so many different hats and you're so many different things to different people. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, so my granddad is a bit of an ex-London gangster, but was an entrepreneur, was a business person, but also was a scumbag human being. And so I guess, some of that's come from him. When I say scumbag human being, because I can see the way you're looking at me right now.
No, I'm not. I'm not looking at you like that.
I'll just quantify what that means,
okay.
though. So he and my nan got divorced. So that didn't used to happen years and years ago.
Yeah.
The reason they got divorced is because he would beat her to a pulp. He would throw her down the stairs. He would lock her on the balcony overnight in the middle of winter. And my mum, as a young child, would bear witness to that.
Yeah.
And so that has meant my mum has a certain just an internal bias and opinion about men and about relationships and all of it. And so she's very confrontational, wildly courageous, strong, fearless, brave, semi-insane. My dad, raised on a housing estate in West London, went to the oratory when it was about what you know, not who you know, ended up as a scaffolder. He was raised by his dad because his mum died before he was a teenager. His dad was an alcoholic bricklayer.
Would you definitely say you are what you know, though? So as a child, so I'm not trying to, I have no opinion of your dad or anything like that, but so an alcoholic bricklayer is a father.
Well, his father, yeah.
Sorry, his father.
Yeah.
So that's what he knew.
Yeah. And unfortunately, and that's why, me and my sister were raised in what I would describe as a very combative household.
Yeah.
Fierce, fighting all the time, because that's all they know. Yeah. Both my parents, my dad doesn't know that necessarily, but my dad's got no experience of a normal upbringing. No. He's never experienced, maybe when he was very young, his parents might have been, I doubt he really remembers. But so he was raised in a tough environment. Yeah. Mum was raised in a horrible environment, so it creates two tough people. So they're very combative. And then me and my sister were raised in that, and you think it's normal. And I think it's taken me the best part of 40 years to realise, oh, that's actually not how it's meant to be. That's not normal that you have a fight every 5 minutes. You're not meant to antagonise each other. You're not meant to look for problems in everything. So and you're not meant to run towards danger. And we in our family have got this really strange thing. I hate confrontation, hate it, until it's at me, and then I'm all over it like a rash. And that's
then
on the sports field.
You don't back down.
Correct, yeah. So in any environment, and it just sounds like an ego statement. It's not. It's taken me years to try and get it under control. But I'm not passive. But I just don't like confrontation. I avoid it. I just like it. I grew up seeing it, and probably as a kid was scared of it. But that also means that when it does arrive, then
you'll have it.
Then it is what it is, unfortunately. Which makes you really good at a estate agency because you're nicey, and lettings look after everyone until someone steps out of line, and that sounds a bit. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course
Tenants
I do.
and landlords constantly push boundaries, and they think it's okay to use us as a punch bag. And you have to stand up to these people. And so I think that's actually what made us quite a good lettings business, because we were built
So
around
you
that.
got into lettings or got into estate agency, what age?
23-ish. So I worked in the pub until I was 21, then I had a couple of years of mooching around different bits. They rebranded the pub and I didn't want to stay on. So I did a few different things. I tried retail, thought about sales, eventually found myself working in a estate agency, I think about 23. A business that looked a little bit like a corporate, Ludlow Thompson. They were a London-based business. They had 13 branches. They were acquired by Foxtons last year. And I cut my teeth there. It wasn't great. It was a low-value area of West London, and we weren't a market leader. It was tough to gain market share, to do business. All the training with that business was done in your first week, and then it was crack on.
So let's stop you there. So were you completely absorbed, as most estate agents are, particularly young ones? That's all you lived, breathed and ate it? Did you do that?
I think when I first started, the manager that I was working for, it turns out, was trying to set up his own business at the same time. Okay. And so he couldn't care less about us. And I thought that was normal, and it wasn't. And so the first 6 months were really naff. The two business owners came in one day, and it was around about Christmas. They discovered he was setting up on his own. Oh no, it wasn't around Christmas. It was February, because he was dating the secretary or someone in the Wimbledon office. Yeah. He hadn't got her a Valentine's present. They had a blazing row.
Oh, God.
She grassed him up to the directors. They came in the next day. He got the boot. And at that point, so I was in sales at that point. It just wasn't really happening. But I was mates with all the guys working lettings. Lettings manager said, come try this. Did that for 6 months. Randomly, I got headhunted. I say headhunted. I guess they had a position to fill, and I got on well when I picked up the keys.
Sounds great, though, doesn't it?
It's just a load of nonsense, isn't it? Yeah. I was borrowing a set of keys from a nice agency, and I got on well with the people in there, and they called me the next day and said, we've got a spot you fancy. And they were the market leader. They won every award under the sun. I thought, this is a great opportunity. And I still wasn't that obsessive about it. I was still young, having fun, had a social life.
I was going to say, so because most agents, if you talk to them, if when you do your own podcast, most agents didn't have a social life. Their social life was work. Did you have a definitive
No, so at that
person
point,
outside?
that business that I joined, Northfields,
Yeah.
became my social life. So that was
Yeah.
the one. That
Yeah.
was the turning point, where it went from. There's a line in that movie, SWAT. Being in the police is a career. Being in SWAT is a calling, and it's a little bit like being in sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. But being in a state agency, once it's got its claws in, you're there.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, and so that was the one, and I had really good relationships, and the people I worked with became really close mates. The best double acts I've ever been a part of it was in that business, and I say that lightly. Daniel, my business partner, and we've worked together 17 years. We're a pretty good double act. But Sharon, who was same age as my parents, but liked to drink and we were just a perfect partnership for anyone that walks through the door. Between us, we ticked the relevant box.
I get it.
And it was such a good, and we had loads of fun, and I ended up opening a division for them and made it work, and realised that, I quite like this. I could do this for myself. Unfortunately, I sort of fell out with the owner. I'm not going into massive detail, but it didn't work out, which is a real shame. I sometimes look back and think, we both made mistakes there.
So did you have a now what moment then when you fell out with him? Was it a now what? Was it a gradual?
Yeah, it was. So yeah, it was like now to get myself. Then we fell out. He decided we parted ways very abruptly, and I said I was going to do it myself. And that was it. And so 6 months later, we opened the door for Thorgills, and that was 2008.
I've always wondered, where did Thorgills' name come from? What was that?
So a mate of mine, I was struggling with names. I didn't want to put my own name above the door. I wasn't into that. In hindsight, might have been a good idea, but I was struggling for a name, and one of my mates who works in banking in the town had a client whose surname was Thorgill, and he actually suggested, he said, it sounds like old money, doesn't it? I was like, it does sound a little bit like, yeah, I like it. I haven't heard it before.
That's good.
Foxton's was taken, so why not? And yeah, I guess so. At that point, there was a bit of a now what moment, but the problem with now what is that I'm always sort of 15 years ahead. Like I know I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. I'm relatively strategic. And so the now what was, all right, shit, I better get on with it. Let's get cracking then. It's happening right now.
How old were you then?
25.
Kids? No?
No, I was single, ready to mingle, and really actually ready to put in the effort, because it's very long hours, very long days. Setting up any businesses, but a business where the consumer, your primary consumer, wants to view it on social hours makes it a really long day. But I had no problem with that. I like work, which I know sounds weird, but it's helpful when you like work. If you like work, then you're not worried about being here till whatever time you need to be.
Absolutely.
So it's never that's never put me off. And I think people think I'm strange, but I don't mind that. Because if I enjoy it. What's the problem?
I don't think there's anything strange in having a good work ethic, but then it's being a decent human being, but that's a whole nother story. So you've got Thorgills, that's fine. I'm really not interested in the estate agency side. What I want to know is you as a person and your now what, because you must have had one hell of a lot of now what moments. So you've got your agency and it's flying, because of course it would. But
it was okay. Now, you know what, it wasn't. If I'm, there were, I mean, as with any business, there are tough times. There's a particular point where we'd grown too fast.
Yeah,
we were the largest letting specialist in London at one point.
And it was just lettings.
Yes, and then we decided we're going to launch sales, so we lose that mantra.
Yeah.
But we were within, I've got my timelines a bit mixed up here, let's say 8 years roughly, we were across 5 locations.
Yeah.
We didn't do that, there was no funding. We were doing that ourselves. And when you're paying for it yourself, and you can be rocking and rolling, but you're paying to open a new branch and kit it out and furbish it, and any new location, you're paying the personnel to be there without a great deal of invoicing for the first 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
And we went too fast, too quick. And we put ourselves under unnecessary pressure.
I did similar. I'll pause you there. I did very similar with a company I owned before, and I felt, because I had 5 offices, 48 staff, and I felt all I ever did every day, from going from a really good, decent human being, great estate agent, wants to put the work in, spinning plates, and I felt as though I took my eye off one, the other one had to run along. Did you feel the same? Yeah,
what I found is that I was no longer present. I was in the office looking at spreadsheets, sorting out. And it's not even that I particularly dislike that. but it's not what I want to do. When we first set up, we said we were going to have fun, and that's a legitimate thing.
Yeah.
If I'm going to have a business, then I want to have fun doing it. Otherwise, what's the point? Because if you don't want to have fun, you may as well go do something that's easy and not have fun. If you're going to choose to do something that's a bit tougher, you need to enjoy it. So I found myself not enjoying it. I found we were a bit stretched. And so there was a now what moment where I remember pulling in the two guys that had been with me the longest. We were like the senior leadership team, both directors. And I said, and as happens, it might have even been, now what the fuck do we do? Because it's all on me, it's not on you two. I convinced you two, this is my plan. We've gone too hard, too fast, with 5 locations. We had 60 people on payroll. Yeah. And, you know, 3 of those 5 locations, so 2 are reasonably new, so you give them benefit of the doubt. But if one of the other 3 is not pulling their weight, we're under real stress here. And someone described it, and I mean, you hear it all the time now, but back then it wasn't that common. Lifestyle business. You set up a lifestyle business. Yeah. And what I should have set up was a commercially viable business.
I did similar. I can see the similarities massively. But, so that's you.
So that point was me saying, right, we've got to sort this out.
Okay.
If we don't sort it out now, we're fucked. So we went from so we pulled everything back and went back to what we used to do. We had fun. We turned ourselves into one super branch. Reduced the size of the team. We had loads of excess, and you know, and I'm comfortable to admit it. Ego was making all sorts of decisions for me.
Of course.
I want to have 5 locations. Why? Well, because I want to grow faster than those guys down the road. We need 60 people. Bollocks, we could run the business for 40, the same size business. And so I made loads of bad decisions. You live and you learn. We went to one branch. We had more fun, and it worked. It worked really well, and there was a real, like, we need to get this done. We got it done. I was in the middle of the branch, and so I never got any bloody work done, but I decided I need to go back to being the glue, because all the team are going to have to completely work in a different way. And so I'd be making 36 cup of teas.
So you still got your directors?
Yeah, they stayed in the business. Yeah. We were all under one roof, and then over the next 9 to 12 months, things sort of changed, and we were a bit of a cult. People didn't like to leave because, you know, in fairness, we really, really cared about them, and we provided a great environment, and they were paid pretty well. And then it became, you sort of, the unintended consequences, you go from being a business that's expanding rapidly to we now work in one location. Everyone with career aspiration says, well, what am where am I going to get promoted to now? And so in 9 months, we probably had 3 or 4 senior people say, look, I'm going to want something more in a year or 2. And I've got no problem, that's fine. Actually, the current setup, losing a few higher salaries, it worked out well. And I can say hand on heart, we'll help them got gigs. And we've got some of the best agents in London came through our books. So that's April 19 when we make the change. February 20, COVID is everywhere. And we go into lockdown in March. And I remember that conversation, the conversation before lockdown was announced. You remember he did it on a Friday afternoon. Yeah. The start of that week, I remember holding a Monday morning meeting and saying, we're going into lockdown. It's been announced, they're going to lock us down. And saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to make this business work anymore. When we come out, we might not be here. I haven't got a solution because we've just been through the toughest 9 months we've ever been through because we're getting all this stuff off the books. We're driving down our cost base. It's cost us a lot of money to get to where we are. This year looked like it was going to be wonderful because we've changed everything. The structure looks brilliant. It's working. But if we stop invoicing and still have to pay our costs, I'm just telling you right now, we're fucked. And I don't know what I'm going to do. And it's a really tough meeting, really tough. And then he announced lockdown on the Friday, and he said there's going to be furlough, and there's going to be this, and there's going to be that. And we're sitting in the office, everyone's having a beer on Friday. It's like we've won the lottery. Because it's the lifeline that you need. There's going to be money for the business to survive. And I remember my wife saying to me, I think you need to tone it down. Because we were so happy.
Let me stop. I need to go back. So there's Ben and he's got his Thorgills and da-da-da-da-da. So you were in your late 20s, early 30s?
When I started.
So how old?
25 when I started it.
So when did you get married? So it was
8 years ago.
Your wife in the business or not?
She came into the business probably when I was about 29, 30.
Okay, so then you've got a wife now. Did you have a child then as well? 19?
9.
Okay.
So
So that's-
COVID at that point, yeah, we've got
So
at
that's
that point, yeah.
big shit, isn't it,
Yeah.
really? That's God.
Yeah, in the space of, so what are we now, 2025? Yeah, so the year before, so in 2018, we moved house, had a baby, got married.
Yeah.
2019, make all these changes to the business structure. And then 2020, COVID comes, and I'm just like, I feel like I've been beaten up. And that's not something I would say. Like, but I'm feeling a bit dishevelled.
Fuck, I should imagine. So there's you. So I'm going to get to the nucleus of this. So there's Ben Madden, this blah 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 blah, set up this thing, da 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 da. Estate agent, just become a new dad, just moved house, just got married. What the fuck? Now what? Moment. COVID.
Yeah, COVID was tough. And it was tough for everyone. And so
Of
I'm
course
not
it was.
claiming
Yeah.
it was
No,
any
no, I
tougher.
know it's not. I'm just interested from your perspective.
Yeah, so at that point, I don't know what you're going to fight or flight, right? So I'm in survival mode,
Yeah, of course.
and so my job, and it always has been, is to protect everyone else from themselves, and so I just do that. And
Yeah.
so I say everyone's going to be fine. You four plus me, we're staying on payroll. We've got a management portfolio. We've got accounts. We've got renewals. We've got to do that stuff. I say to my sister, who at the time lives in a flat with her daughter, you'll have to move in with us because you're in lockdown. You can't. You'll have to live in our house because we've got a garden, and you can't let the kids. Kid can't stay in a flat all day every day. So she moves in. We got a newborn baby that arrived in January that year. So at that point, we've got my 3-year-old, or no, my 4-year-old at the time, my niece who's 3 years old, plus the baby who's a month old. I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do my work because when everyone else gets up, my sister's head of renewals, so she's more or less working the whole time for Thorgills.
Yeah.
My wife's looking after the baby, so I'm refereeing the 2 cousins that for the first 2 hours, they're best mates. And then the rest of the next 3 months, they just want to punch each other in the face. So I'm trying to keep them amused all day. Then everyone goes to bed, and then I'll, pick on the computer again, and at 7 p.m. until 11 p.m. I'm working again. And you just feel like I know the middle of the day there were nice times because the weather was great, and we were all having a bit of, this is, it's all clubbed together, but it was pretty shit. And during that time, I'm trying to work out, we've still got to get the funding, actually, because it's not a case of there's the COVID, the bounce back loans and the different loans. It's not just a case of, like, you're going to get it like that, or at least I didn't think it was. So in order to I'm thinking the bank manager's going to look at the last 12 months for us and say, I don't think so, because he doesn't know that we've shut these other branches. All he can see is our cost base has gone up, but our revenues are not.
Yeah.
There's no parity here. He's going to think the business is in bad shape. So I've got to try and explain that and justify them giving us quite a heavy loan to cover the costs over the next few months while we're shut. So I got the business valued. I thought I'll put that in the pack, that the business valuation is this, and if everything went wrong, we could sell the business tomorrow and it's worth this and you get your money back. And my accountant's like, well, you're going into too much detail here. They're never going to read all this. And I said, well, I'd rather have it than not. Off the back of that, of course, I've spoken to brokers. They now know me, my phone number, and that maybe I want to sell the business, although it wasn't on the cards. And they start saying, well, I've got this agent that might pay this amount of money for it, and this that might pay that. And in the end, I describe him as a good salesperson. He got me to agree. He put money on the table, and I said, yeah, if you get that number, I'll take it. And within weeks, he had that number on the table.
Is that during lockdown?
No, no, that's, oh, God, my time, I was confused. It would have been after lockdown for sure.
It doesn't matter.
It definitely was after lockdown. During lockdown, I was just focused on survival, because even if we sell the business, it's going to take a few months.
So do you think you were mentally exhausted from all of that? Because that was your baby, wasn't it?
Yeah, Thorgills was my first child. And yeah, I think I felt beaten up. Yeah, so probably mental exhaustion is fair. And there would have been significant sleep deprivation through lockdown because of getting up early to work and stuff like that.
And
so
being
yeah,
a dad?
I mean, a whole load of things.
Do you feel like you were everything to everybody?
Sometimes I think you do, and I think I enjoy that responsibility though. I take responsibility. I think the reason Thorgills was good is because we took that level of responsibility. At times I look back and think, God, we treated them like kids. We babied them. But that put more pressure on us. But it also meant that, in truth, I could probably name 40 people that would go to war for me tomorrow. I haven't seen them in 3 years.
Yeah.
But they would walk in front of a bus because of how, someone's got a problem with this, just call Ben, he'll fix it. There's a problem with that, just Ben will work it out. And that's not, there's no ego around that at all.
No, there isn't.
It's just, I guess I enjoyed it.
I think sometimes though, and I've got a really good solicitor friend of mine, and he went through a bad time, and he's not a solicitor anymore. And I remember talking to him, as you know I do, because I do a bit of chatting to people outside of what I do. And I said to him, do you feel like you're in a nest and you're feeding all these chicks? And he said exactly that, because he just felt the pressure.
Well, I said to someone recently that I've spent 42 years doing my best to keep everyone else happy.
Yeah. That's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, and because I've started to sort of like pick it apart and think about it in a bit more detail. And so when I was growing up, my granddad was a multi-millionaire. We didn't know any, like, there's no sharing of that wealth.
Yeah.
But and I mean like insane. Apparently, and I don't know if this is true, but he paid to not appear on the rich list.
Yeah.
That's how much wealth he had. My nan, up until 6 months before she died, I think in her mid-50s, cancer. She was working as a chef in a pub, doing a bit of hairdressing, a bit of everything. Trying to just not make ends meet. It wasn't quite that, but
No, she's
you know,
just living.
but working.
Just living.
Yeah. And mum works at school, dad's a scaffolder, and you know, you're just getting by, just living, yeah. But one of the key things I remember is when on the weekends, mum and nan would just take me and my sister shop. We just go shopping, just go look around the freaking shops again every week. Like, you know, we do, you know, that's a weekend activity, shopping.
Yeah.
But all they would ever talk about, or my significant memory is that he never shared that wealth. Didn't look after mum, didn't look after us. And where I've landed is that he had the means to look after people and didn't. And now it's almost like an obsession for me that I should do that, because as a child, it was just, and there wasn't, of course they weren't doing that to me and my sister. You must be this. Because actually, if you meet my sister, she's the polar opposite of me. So maybe it wasn't that. But I feel as though it's my responsibility to do that. And not out of, it's not a guilt thing, or I don't know, it's just people need help. And I think I like it, but I've realised that I've made so many decisions that are not helpful for myself. I help others.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
And they end up putting me in shit situations or bad situations or making things more difficult than they need to be. But I'm also a hypocrite, because I say I'm going to stop doing it now, and then tomorrow someone says they need help and I don't.
You're always going to be that person, because that's now in your DNA. That's how you are. So sorry, I'm flying all over the place.
All right.
So then go back to, so you've sold Thorgills. You're a dad of 2 children.
The point, no, 3. I've got 3 by that point.
So you got 3, and they're only young babies now. So this is in a very short, condensed period of time. So then, what have you done then?
So as part of selling Thorgills, we had the Fine & Country licence as a halo business.
Okay.
So the negotiation was that I'm going to keep Fine & Country, you're going to take Thorgills. So we kept the Fine & Country business and where we were based. And I thought I'm going to, in my head, I've got this saying that I quite like, and I don't know who made it up, but maybe I did. Basically, the worst liar is the liar that lies to himself.
Correct.
And so I definitely, and I know I did, I'm trying to convince myself, but I spent 6 to 12 months telling myself I'm going to do less work, going to be at home more. It's not like I'm not at home. Like, I make myself available for anything the girls are doing, and I'm there. But you know, maybe I'm gonna not work as hard. I'm gonna take my foot off the gas. What a load of bollocks! I sold Thorgills and Fine & Country. All right, how quickly can we do the same? What can we do with this? And so I spent the next couple of years working heavily on Fine & Country, and yeah, I mean, it's just a different proposition. It's fun, it's exciting, and it's just a different way of work.
One of the guests on this podcast is somebody called Helen Jenkinson, who was the chief nurse for the NHS around the Birmingham area. Tell from my accent, around that area. And her and I used to talk about it's the mum guilt, but you've got the dad guilt. It's the parent guilt. Yeah. But I absolutely, and she, and everybody I know actually, that sort of shows you the sort of people that I go around with. The kids came secondary, the family comes secondary, it becomes a drug, it becomes you. The now what, as you know, the now what moment for me selling my baby was, fuck me, now what? And I've had that. You haven't got there yet. I think you've had little mini now what's.
Yeah, I mean, I think I keep kidding myself that maybe it's what am I going to do now? But I've already got a plan. I know what I want it to be. But the parent guilt thing is just... Parenting, I think, is one of the most conflicting things you can ever do.
You want to love them and punch them in the face.
Yeah,
at the
I mean,
same
repeatedly, I've just been on holiday with 3 of them, and I could javelin them across the beach at times.
Yeah.
But why I think it's particularly conflicting is because you want to set really great examples. So I want to show them work ethic and resilience and tenacity. But I also want to be there, and I want to cuddle them. And when they fall over, instead of, it's not a good example when they fall over. When they have, so my eldest has got dyslexia, and it's quite extreme, it's quite bad. And for the first 6 years of her life, I'm trying to teach her to read, and and it ain't happening. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
You get frustrated.
Very frustrated. And then when she turns 7, she gets a diagnosis. She's got dyslexia, and so at that point, I want to fucking smash myself in the face with a hammer because of how tough I've been on her. And it's so unfair, and I feel awful, and I'm thinking, now I'm like, oh, you selfish prick, you're thinking about yourself now. Think about how you've been with her. Don't worry about how you feel. So it's so, someone said to me about the other day about dyslexia, and do you get upset? Because she gets anxiety when she has to read in front of the class, which is natural, right? So she's not a very good reader because of dyslexia. And so there's 30 kids in the class, and they've all got to read a page, and it's her turn to stand up and read. And she's naturally thinking, they're going to laugh at me. So she gets a tummy ache and she runs off to the nurse, and she has a tummy ache twice a week. It's reading time and she gets it. So I told this story to someone, and a mum, and she said, it must break your heart. And I said, it does. But you know what else it does? It teaches her resilience. And I have to take a longer term view that in 10, 15, 20 years, she ain't gonna give a fuck. She's gonna be tough. And that's conflicted as a parent. There's so many situations like that. I want to be around more, but I want them to learn that you have to work hard.
Okay. Daughter, as you know, I've mum with 2 daughters, 28, 27, 28-year-old actor. I've got a husband who's dyslexic, who's got degrees coming out his ass, right? Learnt to fly, but grew up in a time, sorry, it's not about me, but I just want to give you a bit of thing here. So he grew up in an environment where big, tough dad, blah, 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 went to boarding school age of 7, beat it out of him. Let's beat it out of him, because actually, why can't you read and write? No. You know, he went to a private school, even worse. It was like, why can't you do it? The most intelligent person, apart from when I had children, then I realised they're just as intelligent from him. But, so I sort of knew dyslexia, but there's so many different levels of it and so many different ways. So he's very good on numerical things. Then I had a daughter, and she went to a very small prep school where there's 5 in a class. And then I had another daughter who couldn't hear properly because her tonsils were too big. That's another thing. But then the guilt comes on all different levels. But the dyslexic child, right, who I couldn't quite understand, couldn't quite get it, has a photographic memory. So, of course, that child, then I found, from trying to get her to read, because you may be there, you can't get her to read, fucking Harry Potter saved me. Because she got into Harry Potter books.
Interested in.
And she started to read and want to learn them. I remember being so devastated, but there's fuck all you can do. You can just be there for them. But again, they went to boarding schools from 13. So they had the anxiety of standing there, but she was her own person. But I tell you now, the resilience it teaches them on a very different level is because she suffers from anxiety as an actor. Who would have thought that? So she retreats into a room, and you think, why isn't she the gregarious, the acting performer-y person? She's the child, you're there, you know, perform, wah, 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 sing, da, 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 da. But anxiety level off the roof. There's so many conflicting things with dyslexia that you'll never, ever even scratch the surface of. But it will teach you resilience. But it's to know that she's not alone. What you have to do is give her things to read on dyslexia. I don't know whether you do.
Not yet.
But
you talk to her about it.
Yeah, but try and get her things to read. And then
so we're trying to get her to read things, find something she enjoys reading, and she'll read more. But
like the person, you know, anyway, for Lydia, it was Harry Potter. But then all of a sudden helping Lydia, I tell you, the internet helped Lydia to be, and the TikToks of this world. And remember, they were 50, in fact, probably now it's sort of in the last 5 years that TikTok and all of that came in. So she can actually follow, you wouldn't want her on that, but follow things about people with dyslexia. because Lydia's got very different forms of it. And but yeah, try and get her to. We'll talk about this another time. Sorry, I'm going off your subject here. But
that's good.
But that in itself, so you are a parent that's got all of this cracking off, but then I look at you and I think, fuck, every time I look, you're doing something else. Didn't know that you have a sports academy? Sports
yeah,
something?
I mean,
What's that?
And it's just a disaster. It's the worst thing.
Should we not talk about that?
Well, no, I'm happy to, because someone said to me recently.
What made you do it?
Well, so when we sold the business, you hear loads of things. Oh, the most wealthy people, they've diversified their income. They got this, they got that.
Yeah.
And I thought, maybe it's a good idea. We sold the business, we got some money. We should maybe do something in a different vertical. Everything I've done has always been around property. So I thought we'll take a franchise in children's sports coaching and like childcare. So like breakfast club at schools, after school clubs, weekend football clubs. Because it ticks a couple of boxes. I like sport.
I know.
I actually like kids. If I could pick, I'd rather be in a room with kids than a room with adults, because at least they tell the fucking truth. And I get on just fine with kids. And I've got a passion for it. So I want kids to be healthy and stuff. And I've got my girls, and maybe I'm in the back of my mind thinking, if I do that, they'll come along with me, they'll take part, I'll do a bit of coaching. I've got this romantic view of what it's going to be. Anyway, load of old nonsense. Disaster. Worst thing I've ever been involved in. I've signed a disclaimer now to walk away from that business. So I can't get into specifics. But what I will say to you, what people think about estate agents? It's not just estate agents. And so, that business has been the worst commercial decision I've ever made. I've learned some lessons there. People say either you win or you lose, but you don't lose, you learn a lesson. I'll tell you what, I'd rather have not learned the lesson, give me my money back. The lesson, I've spent too much money to learn these lessons, but such is life.
It's really interesting, that bit, because the franchise, it's very big, isn't it, at the minute? Very big, particularly in sports. So I've got my cousin, she's got very successful children, my children's ages actually, and the one is, let me get this right, Team GB, Trey, Slay, Bob Slay, whatever.
Oh, wow.
Right? GB, right? Her and her partner, that's how she met him. They're now not in Team GB. Right. Done this franchise. Yeah, just started it. Yeah. Very difficult, isn't it?
Well, I thought I went in eyes wide open, but you can only work with the information you're provided.
Of course.
You assume the information's bulletproof. And then actually, the more and more I look at it, the more, so I've tried to reinvent it. I've been to war a little bit to get us away from it. And so we're not connected to it, run it independently now. But I can't make it work.
So who runs it though?
So, I now have someone that runs it. So my
so
wife
were
is
you
involved
running
in
it though?
No, well, so I had a managing director, and they run it on a day-to-day basis, and they'll report into me.
Right.
That was how we started off initially. Then that wasn't really working, and so my wife was on maternity when we took it. She came back from maternity, and she, in essence, took over what I was doing, and they'd report into her. And her real role, from a business perspective, in all the businesses, is sort of looking after the money, the numbers, and that stuff. She ran the accounts for the old business. And so she had a bit of time to really be the person they report into. And she's got, out of everyone I know, she's got the most experience with kids. So it makes complete sense. Like, for instance, with the before school clubs and after school clubs, honestly, I don't know what makes one good and what doesn't. You can't ask me, if I look after kids, within 10 minutes, we're wrestling. And you're looking after somebody else's kids, you can't do that. There's no touching. I think that's perfectly fine. I'll throw them across. You could wrestle with my kids, it's fine. And I've ended up with 3 little savages off the back of it. But it does mean if anyone ever tries with it, if a fella ever tries it, she'll punch him right in the nose.
Yeah.
But so I'm not the best person really for the day-to-day bits in that. From a marketing and sales perspective, that's really where I should shine. Anyway, it's just failed rapidly. We spent so much money trying to make it work, and it's just not what we thought it was going to be. So we've got a managing director that runs it. My wife sort of does handle the reporting side a bit. The person we've got running it has got loads and loads of experience, and she can't even make it work. So it tells you that as a model, commercially, it's just not a great business, And there's if I think back to when I was a kid, at the weekend, you went to the park and you played football. That was it.
Yeah.
It's not a list of things you do. Now, my girls must have 15,000 hobbies. Yeah. Every week there's something new. So, I think there's less and less kids to pull into the clubs because they're doing
Problem
something
is
else.
as well, is that everyone always thinks that you need to keep your kids entertained. You never let what I find frustrating, fascinating, I watch people who just think their kids need to be 24/7, 6 weeks holidays. Jesus, what are they doing? Why don't you just let them sit at home and read a book?
Well,
or sit in the garden?
I've had this conversation, I'm going to say argument, somewhere between the two.
Yeah.
And I say the exact same. Like, if they haven't got anything to do and they're bored, let them sit there bored for 10 minutes, they'll work it out.
Yes.
Like, they don't, it's like when you go on a stag do, right? And they say, right, on day 1 we're doing this, on day 2 we're doing this, on day 3 we're doing that. And the majority of us looking at each other going, I ain't doing any of that.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, I'm going to go in the pub.
Yep.
And that's what everyone does. We don't like organised fun. You don't need to structure everything. Let them have a bit of free time. Now, every kid does an after-school club.
I know.
When I was at school, you didn't have after-school clubs.
My kids went to prep school, and the old chap who's still alive, just about, called Hugh, said to me, we were on about summer holidays, and I was like, guilt, Mum, run the business, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I have no holidays. And he went, can I just say to Mrs. Cooney, very nice, for Livy Posh, won't even try and do his accent. Can I say to Mrs. Cooney, why don't you just be there? They don't care what they do. Just sit them in the office with you. They don't care. Give them a book, give them a colouring book. As long as they're with you, they're not interested in what they do. They just want to be with you. And I sort of took that. He probably put it a lot more eloquently than I did. But actually, I thought, yeah, fuck, he's right. So
yeah, they want to be around their parents.
Then
They
I take
want a
my
bit of
kids up, 'cause I live
attention.
near Cannock Chase. So I used to take the kids up Cannock Chase with their mates and just play in the leaves, right? And that's their fun part. They remember that.
Yeah, well, that's right. When you've got a 3-year-old, you take them in the toy shop. End of the holiday, everyone can have a little thing because you've been well behaved. 3-year-old will pick up a fucking tennis ball for 50p.
Yeah.
That's enough to amuse her. There's I don't know, a £30 Barbie. They're so easily amused, but you make it. We're overcomplicating it. We're giving kids screens. We're giving kids phones. It's not necessary.
Getting back to your sports thing,
Go on.
because realistically speaking, you're fucking crash. Because people they're that jaded, sorry if I'm effing, people
Well,
are that jaded, aren't they? They're that jaded in life. They're all busy working. They're just thinking, oh, good God, I've got to give the kids something to do. They chuck you in, you might as well open a creche.
You know what, though? I do, and you just made a really good point there that people don't talk about enough. So I think when we were kids, you could get by with one parent being the worker and one being at home. Nowadays, the cost of life is so much, both parents are contributing. And I know there's loads of people that will push back on that. In fact, you've got a guest coming up in a couple of weeks who makes the argument that the cost has always been the same. And I'm adamant that it's not the case, that the world is more expensive because there's so much more you're expected to spend money on. You know, a silly example becomes like Netflix. Well, it is a silly example. It didn't exist in the 80s, just like Sky didn't, just like all the other subscriptions, just like the things that kids think they have to have now. We live in this society where I've just got to have what everyone else. I'm so worried about what other people think about me. If we could just get back to not caring what other people think, we stop spending money, maybe we don't have to work so hard, maybe we've got more time for the kids.
You get to 50, Ben Madden, and you all realise, and definitely at 60, and you then start to deconstruct the very things that you thought you needed. I've got 9 cars.
You told me the other week.
There are 9 cars in our family. What the hell, right? I'm starting to deconstruct. It's very weird. Very weird.
It's funny you said, I had that. I think I've been, about 18 months ago, I started to think, what am I doing? Like, all these, so I got myself a nice car after selling the business. I wasn't going to. You know, it's a big decision. I'm not going to. My wife's convinced me, do it. You really want it. You love the car. 3 weeks later, it was stolen off our drive. Really quick story, right? Stolen off the drive. And not only is it stolen, 7 weeks after it's stolen, we're on our first big family holiday. I've got my parents, got my sister, got her kids. We're all on holiday. We've all had sort of COVID over the last few years. So it's a proper holiday. And I get a call in the middle of the holiday, we're just processing your insurance claim, just want to let you know it's been rejected. We're going to void your insurance. Your insurance never existed, it's all been cancelled.
My God.
You're a liar. This will be going down as this will be on your record as fraud now. If you try and get insurance again in the future, good luck. And I'm like, are you having a laugh? What? So you've waited 7 weeks, you've intentionally waited till I'm on holiday, I know what you lot are like, And then you've rejected my insurance claim and you're saying that I lied. What's the lie? You underinsured the car. So when you gave the valuation for the car, you gave us 93% of its true value. And I said, it's a lease. I don't know the value of the car. I'm paying a lease, a monthly amount.
Yeah.
And are you saying that I've missed the value, I've underinsured by 7%? So you're not going to pay me the 93%? You're not paying me at all? No, it's voided. If we'd have known the value, the true value of the car, we wouldn't have even given you insurance. It's like, this is surreal. So at this point, I've paid a deposit. I'm paying a monthly amount. I've got a balloon payment after 4 years. I'm looking at paying 90 grand for a car that I never had. So I'm ready to pull my hair out. I instruct a solicitor, we're going to go to the Ombudsman. We go to the Ombudsman. The Ombudsman reject us and side with the insurer. And I'm like, oh God. So the solicitor says, let's appeal. Let's get a barrister involved. Anyway, we appeal, they side with me. That took 18 months to get to that point. In that 18 months, I can't get a car because I can't get insurance. Because I've had voided insurance, it's fraud. The cost of insurance is like a second mortgage. So I basically get on a push bike and I'm on a bike every day then. And now I haven't gone back to it. But that whole episode, it's 18 months, it's first world problems. I know people are probably thinking like, oh, 90 grand car. But staring down the barrel of throwing £90,000 away, that's not much fun to consider. So that was quite tough and challenging. And that episode got me thinking, I just don't know why I bother with all the crap. I don't care. I wear this now. Since then, I started wearing the same clothes every day. Black T-shirt, dark trousers, because I just don't care. People are obsessed with what others think. And because of that, they buy stuff they don't need and they end up with all sorts of crap that think's going to make them happy. The thing that makes me happy is doing stuff that offers a bit of fulfillment. So whether it's time in the pool with the girls on holiday or doing something amazing at work, an achievement, but it's certainly not buying something, owning something, because in 5 minutes, it's just another thing, isn't it?
Tell you, I'll interject to the story about insurance, okay? So, as you know, had cancer, and got paid out quite a lot, to be honest, because I'd insured myself for the critical illness, whatever. Yeah. And I bought a really lovely piece of jewellery. But I already owned a lovely piece of jewellery, but I had another piece of jewellery. And these things always, this too will pass. That's obviously my little bit of a saying. And we went through an horrific part of our family to do with court cases, don't matter what it is. I wanted to sell some jewellery to fund a very, very expensive legal battle we were facing, right? So I took the jewellery to London, and it was three pieces of jewellery, a watch, 2 rings, and there is an end to this story, so I'll hurry it up. So I gave them to the jewellers, and it's quite a nice jewellers in London, and I was getting messages, and I've got the messages, we've been offered XYZ for this ring. And I went, okay, well, and as always, this too will pass, the crisis passed, we got through it, contacted them and said, look, I'm gonna have my rings back. And the watch. Yeah. Met the guy. He gave me one of the stones not in its casing, one in its casing that had changed to platinum because when he was trying to sell it, and then couldn't find my Rolex. Right. So I went right. Okay, I'm sure that'll you'll find it. It's fine. Thinking stupid, naive piglet that I am. Took the stones the next day. Went to the jewellers in Channel Islands who were with. To get them insured, reinsured, because obviously you do an insurance and then they're fake. And I went, they're not fake. And they went, they're fake. Very good fakes. On the phone to my jeweller, he went, they're not fucking fakes, don't be ridiculous. What happened was they'd taken them to try and, whatever, get them sold. Whoever it was had done a very good job, okay? So our insurance went, You're not covered.
Why?
You're not covered from deception. And I went, I wasn't deceived though. So anyway, good old Angi Cooney took on the insurance company.
Good.
4 years and won a substantial amount of money back. Because actually, when they say insurance, this is for the lesson for everybody. read your insurance policies properly. Because if you're deceived, and I was saying to them, I was not deceived. I handed them over in good faith and they were stolen by persons unknown. Talked to the Met Police in London and all of that, didn't want to know. And it was a big amount of money. Anyway, got it back.
4 years of work though.
Yeah. But then I bought a nice car, and then obviously in times go on, you think I've got 9 cars, don't need 9 cars. So I am now selling those cars. But anyway, yeah, so I don't know where I've even gone off. That was down a rabbit hole.
But insurance is a racket, and you've got to be willing to fight them.
You do, yeah.
So
let me tell you, let's
go on.
Back. So you've got that now what moment, and that's to be continued of the ... for your sportsy bit, right? And then you've gone off on another tangent.
Which one? What, this one?
Let's go to the one before this one then. So what's your other one? Fine and Country?
So we've got Fine and Country. Business-wise, I guess, so I'm conscious that we're going to end up talking for 3 hours here.
That's right.
I'm going to give you...
We've got a great editor.
We have.
I'm sure.
So we've got Fine and Country.
Yeah.
We've got the sports, kids, Next Generation Active, we called it. And we've got Digital Sparks, which is, from a commercial perspective, is our... the business we created that we would have, as estate agents, really benefited from using over the last few years. It's video for property professionals. Well, actually, it's for anyone, but our specialism is property. We put you front and centre on camera, tell your story, as you know. We make you look fantastic, and we get your social media doing what it needs to do and what it should do to grow your influence. So if you're in a local area, we can give you an awareness in the local area. If you're, I don't know, for instance, a particular supplier and you want to talk to a particular demographic, we help you do that.
So now I've done the Ben Madden Digital Sparks.
Thanks.
Coming to
there you go.
Coming to Instagram near you.
Look me up.
What I want to know though is now what? Now what? What's next?
Well, so the other thing I want to just really touch on is Boys Club.
Yeah, I was about to say, you are many things, getting back to the many things to many people, because I belong to something called 75ers, which is a group of lazy-ass estate agents who actually looked at you and thought, fucking hell, and you got a bunch of people from all over the country together to then become interested in fitness. Yeah,
it's a good group. So that's just a WhatsApp group. We started at the start of the year. I think it's a group that's it's created friendships, isn't it?
Yeah, it's created friendships. So you've got that?
Yeah.
And I'm really interested in your Boys Club.
Boys Club is about men's mental health, and it started off the back of someone we were messaging about last week.
Yeah.
Who'd had been for a tough time, a mental health issue, and it felt like a couple of years ago this was coming up quite a lot. People were struggling with their mental health. We're approaching the 3-year anniversary of Liz Truss.
Wow.
And breaking the economy. And for me, that was sort of the line in the sand where we went from post-COVID boom, property sector. It slowed down in the summer. Liz Truss comes along, breaks the economy, and then you got probably 9, 12 months of really flat estate agency practice. And estate agents had been for a tough time in COVID. There's no doubt about it. We were the first to come back. It was wildly busy, and people think, if you're not in estate agency, you're probably thinking, oh, hard old life, you're really busy. Well, yeah, the estate agents are busy and they're making money, but they're working their arse off. Yeah. Like, it was intense. And then Liz Truss breaks the economy, and a load of agents suddenly thinking, I don't have a business anymore, I don't know what I'm going to do. And people would randomly contact me and just talk about advice. And some people I know, some people I've never met before, would send me a message and say, any ideas what I should do about this? And I think it's because I was putting out content to help agents at the time, and I guess got enough experience. And I thought it made sense to actually pull everyone together who's got an interest in mental health, to talk about best practice and help people tell their story. So we've been doing it for a couple of years. Look, it's a small group. People tell their story, others hear their story and can resonate with that story. And I think when you have an appreciation that others are going through or have been through what you're going through, you feel more positive about it. You just, okay, they've been through it, I can get through it. You hear how they coped, okay, that's how I'll cope. They came out stronger, I'll come out stronger. So it's that, really. I think people relate to you, though, and you and I have had this. I say I'm trying to sort of make it so that it doesn't quite sound as blatantly obvious as when I'm talking to you. People either want to be you or shag you. It's one of them, isn't it? Because they look at you and they see and you are relatable, 100% relatable, but actually very honest about it. Yeah, I mean, this came up yesterday. We were having a conversation about authenticity, and it's such a buzzword.
Oh, it is.
But I just try and be authentic me. Like,
Do you know what authenticity? Right, everybody uses that about me. No, I just tell the truth.
but
Because you're not going to lie. You're not going to lie, are you?
Truth is not a thing anymore.
No,
is it?
but I also think if you stand there and you tell the truth, not your truth, if you tell the truth, you can't ever lie, and no one will ever catch you out, will they?
Just black and white. How do you? The best way to not get caught lying is don't lie.
Yeah.
I remember someone I worked with years ago, really good salesperson, and we got a rep in this industry, we know it. And I remember him bringing someone into the team. He was a sales manager in our business. He brought someone in, and there was some conversation. I can't remember what the start of it was, but he basically said, the best way to handle this is don't fucking lie. And I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's my guy. That's it. Yeah, you're never going to get caught out by the client if you just tell them the truth. You don't have to remember any dishonesties. Just tell them the truth.
Yeah.
And so, listen, I'm not whiter than white. I don't claim to be some sort of it's not a halo thing. I just try to be myself. And if you don't like me, that's okay. That's all right.
But I think that's why people will gravitate towards you, because you do tell the truth. And I think you are, well, I believe you. And I am, I'm fucking brutal, mate. I don't like many people, but I like everybody. I'm one of those people. Anyway, so I want to try and wrap this up really, because I still think there's still more to unravel with you. And I hope I'm around to see the next now what moment, because I think it's coming.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, so actually, there's one new thing on the agenda which I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but I'll tell you.
Okay, off camera.
I was hoping this comes out after it's announced. But there's the current thing that I'm really, really working hard on is Digital Sparks. That's the new baby. It's a huge opportunity. I'm having loads of fun doing it. Got an amazing team, except for Nerin, who's pretty average.
Nerin's a bit of a twat.
Useless. Nerin is behind the camera, just so everyone knows. But yeah, that's fun, that's exciting. I think that's going to, for me, from a property industry perspective, I think it's going to change the way the property industry works and markets itself, because it's the honest opportunity for what we just said about telling the truth, right?
Yeah.
If you get on camera and tell the truth about your business, as opposed to, we just did a record price or we just sold this.
Yeah.
If you get on camera, and I'm not saying you don't get on camera and cry, but had a shit day, sale just fell through, I've had to break the news to the buyers and the sellers, and everyone's upset. The more of those stories we tell, the more the consumer understands that actually, maybe being an agent isn't the easiest job in the world. Maybe it is tough. Maybe there are good agents and not so good agents. And maybe it is worth paying them a fair fee for the hard job they have to do. And so I think by putting that stuff on video and us helping agents tell that story, it will win them more clients, it will increase their fees, it will create just a better relationship between the consumer and agents. So as you can tell, I'm enthusiastic about it right now, but I think it's exciting for the direction of travel. So
I don't know whether this is relevant to you, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because I try and ask my guests questions. So if you were talking to somebody and they were faced with that crossroads, how would you get and whatever it might be, what advice would you give somebody thinking of a scenario, whatever scenario?
To make a decision?
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly. When I make a decision, or when I've got someone close to me and wants to make a decision, so if we really can't make up our mind, it's A or B. I say, okay, we're going to do B. And looking at them dead in the eyes, I know straight away whether actually they wanted to do A. So I say, it's fine, we'll do A. Yeah. You just decide on one, and buyer's remorse. Within 24 hours, you've made the wrong decision. That being said, it's not all that easy, is it? It's such a oversimplification. Yeah. So my dad's memory started to go. Dementia is kicking in. And I don't know what to do. And so I've had a couple of moments. So this is a funny year for me. I did 75 hard, which is a really tough challenge. And the first 3 months of the year were really good for me. That exercise, that mental disciplines, launched a new business. And then the second 3 months of the year were really tough. I did the boxing event, which was
brutal,
which was horrible. Injuries and stuff, and it just didn't. I didn't enjoy the impact that had, and I'm still recovering from injuries now. My dad's health has just deteriorated rapidly. Yeah. And there's highs and lows, and I don't know what to do about that. And I've never, so there are two instances this year. I've never felt in the ring, when I was fighting this guy who was a capable boxer, I've never felt helpless like I did, like that I couldn't win.
Yeah.
And I've never been in a scenario I've thought I'm not capable of winning. I'm the person that's on a sports field and where 3 goals down and there's 10 minutes to go and I'm saying, just give me the ball, we're going to win. Give me the ball, we're going to win.
Yeah.
And people are like, he's delusional. And we go win. On that night, within 2 minutes, I knew I haven't got an answer. And I'm not used to feeling like that. So I hated that. With my dad, I've got the exact same feeling. 3 weeks ago, sorry, he lives with my mum, my sister and her kids. They've all gone on holiday, they've left him. And I think they're almost, because they see him every day, they're maybe slightly oblivious to how bad it is. He's on his own for 10 days. He's in a bad way. So I take him to the doctors. He's been at the doctors the day before, he didn't tell me. There's just so much confusion around what is early stage dementia. I mean, I'm making the assessment. I just can't see that it's anything else. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to look after him. He lives with mum and sister, but he needs to be out more. He needs to be engaging more. He's become very sedentary in the last couple of years because he retired. And 2 years ago, he didn't need to retire. He just decided, I'm not going to go back to work in the winter because I work outside a lot and it's not a lot of fun. I'll go back in spring. And then the job didn't arrive in spring. And he just thought, I'm just going to retire. And it's been the worst thing you could have ever done for him.
How old?
73.
No age, no. No age.
And he, active, funny, life and soul of the pub. And now it is so aggressive how quickly it's happened. We're on holiday last week. There are so many instances. So he got lost. He ended up eating dinner on his own one night. There's 6 of us on holiday. And I couldn't find him. I'm running around the hotel. I took the babies parasailing, and he's watching, and he's a bit nervous about it, which is also out of character. He used to be like, he wouldn't be nervous about things. The next day, we're sitting on the beach, having a beer. Someone goes past parasailing, and he goes, "You ever thought about doing that?" I was like, you forgot, I was up there yesterday. That's the other thing, how you handle that. The thing about losing your memory is that it's only awkward in that 30 seconds and then they've moved straight past it.
And you also, I mean, I am certainly not an authority on it, but I've watched and know enough people that have had it. I think that is not to correct them because they don't realise that they're saying it 5 times.
So that same conversation, he said to me 4 times, "You've been in the sea yet?"
Yeah.
And because I'm not with him all the time, it's really easy to me, no, not yet. And I don't mind saying the same thing over and over again. My mum, who's combative, confrontational, short-tempered, it's nothing short of a disaster.
The problem is though, Ben, there is no answer for this for you, but all that you can do, because you are a logical person that tries to help and is the saviour.
I'm trying to think, what can I get him to do?
But
what job can I give him?
What you need to do is just step back, get informed, find out as much as you can about it, talk to as many people, and that needs to be, and I'm really not trying to sit here and tell you what to do, that needs to be what you need to concentrate on more than anything else, because everything else now is white noise, everything. It's that part, so that you understand it. And
go on, sorry.
It's so you understand it. You can't change it, but you need to be informed.
Yeah, well, it's just, so we were at the doctor's last week, I took him, and we're still waiting for the memory clinic to come back to us. And that's been 9 months. And he said he should have been within 2 months. It's been 9, so he's going to chase it up. So I said, just out of interest, once we get the diagnosis, because every time he comes here, he does memory tests, every time he fails it.
Yeah.
As it happens, the memory test's not that easy. I know plenty of people that failed a memory test. The memory test is count backwards from 20 and 2s, do the numbers, do the year, months of the year backwards.
Who's the Prime Minister?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a name and address, and at the end, give it to me.
Here's a clock, do 10 to 5. Yeah.
Although, to be fair, he said to him, "What year is it?" And he said 1950. What the fuck is going on here? That is so, I mean, it's definitely... So I said to the doctor, when he's diagnosed, then what? Is there medication? Is there things we can be practicing? Is there things we can be doing now? Because I don't need a diagnosis. I'll just do all that stuff. And if it turns out he hasn't got it, so what? He said, there's nothing. We're not going to give you anything for him. The only reason you need a diagnosis is so you, as a family, can get support. OK,
so what you've got to do, fuck off that bit, that'll just come. You need to get informed, you need to find out about it yourself, you need to try and find out the help groups around here.
Well,
if there are any around here.
I saw Stephen Brown on Tuesday, and he said there's a men's walking football club, and the problem is, my dad won't do any of that stuff. He won't engage with it. He won't go do it.
Hang on a
I
minute.
need to.
Your dad's your dad. Your dad's in his bit now, okay? It's not about him. This is about you. It is about you, okay? And one of my guests that I've had on recently should be able to give you pointers and bits, okay? Because let me tell you, mate, this is one of the hardest bits now. So anyway, on that note, we'll end it. So Ben Madden, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.